Welcome, troops. You're back here with the SOS on my left, Hollywood Edwards. Hollywood, how you doing tonight?
Uh, do you want me to switch my seats one of these nights? Because I'm always on the left.
Yeah,
Just curious.
why do you always sit there? I figured it was like a feng shui thing that you were involved in or something.
It might be. I just maybe it's the microphone. I don't know. Maybe I like it.
And on my right, last night he was actually sitting right across from me, but now he's on my right, and he's from the Steam Town, and he's the Steam Town son of. He's the Electric City Saint, Robert Ventura. Bobby, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing really good tonight. I'm very excited about doing this show and seeing what we got to cover as far as Raw goes. It was a very interesting show tonight, I must say.
Very interesting. You know, it's WrestleMania season, so of course it's interesting. This is where they do their best work. And this show was just action packed and full of all kinds of stuff from the beginning to the end. I mean, all kinds of stuff. Of course, we started off with the Shield, and I guess what they did at the beginning was they let us know that that really was the last time and they're not going to be together anymore and they're all going to go their separate ways. Is that the way you saw it, Hollywood?
Yes. Yes. I like the fact that the two guys left, and actually, I like the fact that Roman said, we all got business, and he said, I don't know what Dean's business is, but I don't think Dean knows what Dean's business is, or however you put that. And they basically left and handed Seth the stick. So I thought that was basically them saying, look, everybody that's saying this is a work with Ambrose and it's the big story about the Shield and there's some kind of story that nobody can see except the marks because there's some kind of story going on if you read on the internet that this is a big work. I don't know what it is, but they're basically telling you there's nothing. It was what it was. We put them together. Now it's back. It's down to business. Seth is with Brock now. Forget it. It's over.
So Reigns actually wished Ambrose good luck.
Yes.
Kind of sounds like he might have decided to leave after all. I don't know. I mean, the internet says he's not leaving. So, like you said, so we'll see. Saint, you thought he wasn't leaving in the very beginning too. Now I heard you say last night you've come around and now you're on the other side. How do you feel after tonight?
Yeah, I still am committed to the fact that I think he's going, especially when we get into what happened later on in the show tonight. The way that the episode ended, I think that leads me to really think that he's on his way out. But before we get into talking about the Shield segment, I have a question for you guys, and I want to get your take on it. Not to disrupt the flow of the show or anything, but but before the Shield actually came out tonight, whatever happened to the old days, like when they used to have the show start with the opening video and the entrance theme, and then the pyro would go off? The crowd used to pan around, or the camera used to pan around like the whole entire arena, and show everybody marking out and going crazy. And I don't know why they don't do that anymore. I mean, that would really get you hyped up and excited to watch the program, but they just don't do it anymore. And even back then, like in the 90s or early 2000s, when they would do that, it gave the shows this big time feel, and it even gave like this chaotic and urgent vibe at times. Of course, I realize they don't do the pyro anymore, of course, for cost cutting reasons, but I don't really understand why they don't do these things anymore.
I don't think they do it because if the crowd would pan around, I don't think, like, the camera would pan around, I don't think the crowd's doing anything. I think that's why they don't do it. And I know when it's off air, they could have Michael Cole going 10 seconds till we go live. Everybody get up. But I don't think they just bother with it anymore. I don't think they care. And to your point, I like what you're saying. Yeah, that it used to give that. All right, it's Raw. Let's go. But they don't do it anymore.
Also, panning the camera around when you don't have a full house can be tough sometimes. And I was reading an article where it's 2 or 3 pay-per-views now. They have not announced the attendance, and that's because the attendance was not good. So if the attendance isn't good at a pay-per-view, what's the attendance like at Monday Night Raw, especially after let's face it, they've had a couple of bombs lately. So if that affects attendance and you have some empty seats, do you really want to be panning around in the crowd? and showing that. I don't know. I mean, I feel you. I think you're right. I mean, you think about the early Raw when they first started, just with the siren.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was exciting. I mean, just to hear that siren going
cool.
and seeing the crowd there, and back then the crowd was hot. They were hot. They were ready to go. But I don't know that that's the case today.
Yeah, maybe it's not. I mean, but even like, it's really surprising that they don't do like the opening like video package anymore. I mean, granted, the last few opening themes that they had over the last few years have been lousy, but I digress. Maybe that just shows that they like, as you said, Edwards, they slowly stopped caring about that element of their production. I mean, I guess, they're too worried that if they do one of them old school intros, their audience might burn out like all of their energy in one go.
It's true. It's true.
Who did that entrance, the Raw song here a couple of years ago? Was that Nickelback?
That's the one you like. That's the one you downloaded and you kept playing over and over and over. Yeah.
That's a good one.
No, that sucked. That was terrible.
Oh, no. They used to sing it on Busted Open all the time. It was great.
Did they?
Yep. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that was back in the day.
Back in the olden days.
Yeah, they had guys like Dave from Parts Unknown used to call
in. Dude, that guy, do you remember that guy? He was the best caller, Dave from Parts Unknown.
A lot of stuff. Pat from New Jersey, very good
Pat
caller.
From New Jersey was good. He used to call TNA all the time. He'd be talking TNA.
There was a guy on the road, too. Mike from Cleveland, he was.
Mike in Cleveland, yep. Trucker, I think.
AJ from Florida, was it? Or Pennsylvania? He moved around.
I wonder if any of those guys call in anymore. That old crew. Remember there was a Bob, too? Bob in New Jersey?
Well, you would know. I mean, I don't.
All right, come on with the show.
So Seth Rollins' business is Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. Gets a little Pearl Harbor job there by Shelton Benjamin. It leads to a match. Any comments from any of you guys regarding the Heyman segment or the match?
Here's my comment. I looked at the screen and I went, "That's not Leo Rush." I was like, "Who the hell else is that?" Because now listen, I know what that sounds like, but I'm used to seeing Leo Rush. I knew it wasn't Bobby Lashley, and I knew it wasn't Leo because he's too small. So who else could it have been? And then they said, it was Shelton Benjamin. I was like, is he even in the company? Like, when did this happen? And then, they said he's from SmackDown, which, again, with the brand split, makes zero sense. But then you had Heyman on the mic saying, why Shelton Benjamin? I'll tell you why. Because he trained Brock Lesnar and this, that, the other thing. I don't know why the hell they pulled Shelton Benjamin out the ass.
Well, I was at least happy that there was a reason for it. Because usually we don't even get that. Right, Saint?
Yeah, true. That does happen quite a lot. And like later on, once the match actually happens, of course, Heyman actually was on commentary, and he did a good job explaining the history between Lesnar and, Shelton Benjamin. And basically, he admits that he paid him off. And I thought that was, brilliant. And it'd be funny next week, or maybe even like 2 weeks, if they bring in Charlie Haas next.
That would be funny. That would be really funny. But yeah, I didn't even realize he was, like, I kind of knew he came back, but then I didn't realize he was still there.
Yeah, because he hasn't been on the show, right?
I haven't seen him.
Curious, very curious.
Very curious.
Now, one thing we did learn is Brock Lesnar will be in the house next week.
Yes.
So, yippee. Championship belt. You'll be able to see the championship belt, just in case you think it doesn't exist, okay?
Man, we're on fire tonight. This is going to be a great one.
Woo, great show. Monday Night Raw. Road to WrestleMania.
Road to WrestleMania.
Still to come. Reigns versus Corbin and the face-off between Batista and Triple H. But in the meantime, we get a WWE Intercontinental title match. In fact, Finn Balor was coming down the aisle before Seth even got a chance to leave the ring, which was kind of great because they got to shake hands and, they're best friends. So that was nice to see. And then Finn went into the ring in a big match here for Bobby Lashley. Were either of you guys surprised that they switched the title on Raw and didn't wait for the pay-per-view. And Hollywood, being that they did that, what are you thinking is going to happen at WrestleMania regarding these two? Or will anything happen? Because as we know, you're not guaranteed a rematch anymore.
Boy, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Were you surprised by the title switch?
Yes and no. Yes that they did it, but no because, boy, dude, when Finn Balor comes out, he's got that song, and it's like slow-paced, and it's like I think of the Demon, and I think of NXT Finn Balor. It just doesn't fit this guy. And he's so vanilla, and he's so bland, and he's carrying the belt, and, dude, his gear is generic. Like, can we put tassels on him or something? Like,
he does the thing with the collar.
I know he's got the collar, but he's so cool. But, dude, the kick pads, it's just white and red. Like, can we do something with him? Like, if anybody needs some kind of help, it's him. He's just so boring. And, when I saw the title change, I didn't really care, but I was happy because I can't stand seeing Finn Balor anymore. He's vanilla, man. He's terrible. He's boring. Can we do something? Can we do something in that Intercontinental title picture, please?
Saint, can you step in here and say Finn Balor?
Yeah, it's very funny. Almost 2 years ago, when I was on another show with our buddy here in Hollywood, I actually believe I remember saying this 2 years ago, and I think it still rings true today. I think he would really benefit from some kind of a heel turn or some kind of attitude change, like a little bit of a gimmick tune-up, or even more variety in his ring gear. Like you said, like unfortunately, it just seems like in WWE he is very bland, unfortunately, and like all them things I just mentioned, I think he would really benefit from by doing that. And it's a goddamn shame that over, them last 2 years that they never really did anything with him and Doc and Anderson there, because I feel like, they could have had a potential, big trio there with them, of course, like playing off of the Bullet Club history, but they just would not do it. And you see the result of that now. Gallows and Anderson are potentially on their way out of WWE. They want to get out of there now. And they're another team that I feel like they did nothing with throughout their tenure. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even believe they ever even won the tag titles, did they?
I don't think so.
Do you realize that you guys are calling for an attitude change for a guy that's already a cross between John Wayne and James Dean?
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, what do you want?
Silly us.
That's attitude, boy. So, what did you think of the finish? Leo Rush comes out and rings the bell.
I loved it.
And it leads to Bobby Lashley being the Intercontinental Champion.
I loved it. They need to do more with him, I think, with Leo.
The Hype Man is back.
Let's get the Hype. Can we get the Hype Man like a tag team, too? Come on, man. I want to see the Hype stable. Let him be Bobby Heenan, man. Let him do the whole thing. He's going to be the agent and the hype man for everybody, for all his guys.
Maybe he could get Shelton Benjamin.
There you go. Whoever needs him,
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to see him do some kind of a stable or something like that. Like, I think it would also benefit guys that aren't exactly that great on the mic, or that don't really have that big personality. Like, I think a person that would really benefit from that would be, maybe Jason Jordan. When he comes back from his injury, he, for a little while there, he was paired up with Bob Backlund. And as you saw, that didn't really didn't get him over or go anywhere. But maybe, teaming up with Lashley and then Leo Rush, maybe that could benefit him in some way. And also there's tag teams that could benefit from that as well. Maybe you put the Ascension or somebody in there.
Why were you laughing, General Stames?
It's just, I guess we're going with the whole Nation of Domination thing. I mean, I guess we better put No Way Jose in there too,
No, here, wait. Let's fix that. Let's fix that right now. Let's take two things that Electric City Saint said. We're talking about Vanilla Finn. Why don't we turn him heel? Give him a little attitude adjustment and give him to Leo Rush. Let him be Finn's hype man.
There you go.
How about that? That'd be something
I do
interesting, at
think
least.
Finn could use a hype man.
He needs something, man. Jeez.
Yeah,
He's not
totally
the best on the mic. He's kind of a little boring on the mic. So, yeah, I don't think it would hurt him. Hey, we go to the backstage area. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I will say this. I really did like the finish of that match. I mean, they played off again what they did the previous night for the pay-per-view. They mentioned Leo Rush is still recovering from the Strowman, like the mauling that he got from him. And it was nice to see them selling that. And then, of course, 15 minutes later, that totally got negated. I mean, I will flat out admit I was fooled. I was not expecting Leo Rush tonight because they sold me on the fact that he was still out with the injury. And, you know, I thought it was really funny that he interrupts the match. He rings the bell to distract and confuse Balor, and then Lashley, you know, hits Balor with the spear once he attempts the springboard. It was actually a very good finish to the match. The match itself actually was very good in general. It had this more of an old school mentality and booking to it. They weren't going 100 miles an hour the whole match, so that was nice to see.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. And we will see later on in the show that Braun Strowman destroys again, but it's not Leo Rush this time. We'll get to that. Charlie Caruso in the backstage area with Baron Corbin, and he's dressed like my server over there at the Applebee's. Mm-hmm. The host, she brings up all the negative comments that Corbin has made about Roman Reigns. And, bro, he pretty much sticks with it. He doesn't want to see Reigns around there. Anybody have a comment for Corbin?
No.
Yeah, I'll say this, that, you know, I thought the promo was pretty decent. I mean, he says that there's no way Reigns' leukemia hasn't taken a toll on him in some way and that he's not 100%. And, you know, I think a lot of people probably, you know, that don't know the whole details of his recovery and all that, they probably believe that too. And, you know, it was funny that he goes that he's going to expose you know, Roman Reigns, that now that he won't have the backup of the Shield. You know, I think that it was the way the promo was written, I don't know if he did that himself or if he was given that, but I thought it was very well done. And the best part of it, I really like the way he ended the promo. He goes, he's going to house train the big dog tonight. I mean, bro, that is just so fucking funny. I love that.
That's your boy in the vest. Good job by him.
Yep.
Hey, I mean, he may as well talk about Roman's sickness because, hell, I mean, everybody's doing it. Even Dave Meltzer got in the other day and said that he had doubts about the chemo pill and all that stuff. So these people are unbelievable.
They don't know anything what they're talking about. It's amazing.
No, they really don't.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Bro, then we see Ronda Rousey. Walking
yummy.
Backstage.
Yummy.
And, you know, after the break, she comes to the ring. And, dude, that promo, I mean, she's been there for how long now? It's over
about a year.
A year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All that time that they had her doing that baby face bullshit, and she was stammering sometimes and stuttering, there was none of that tonight. You know why? Because that's who she is. And again, I know we sound like a broken record, but if you let the person be a character that has something to do with who they actually are, a realism within them, it just works so much better. She is the baddest bitch on the planet, and tonight that's who she came as, and it was a home run, bro.
Yeah, did you notice that she actually is slowly slowing down?
Oh, yeah.
Her speech. Like, that's the scary thing about her because, you know, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, even to last week, she's doing great promos and she's letting it rip. But once she gets the feel, once she gets the pro wrestling promo feel, like we saw tonight, it was a little slower. Dude, look out. I'm telling you, once she figures it out, because I think she's like right there. She's right there with the promos.
So say she's got the promo going, but is it all for naught? Is she still going to suffer the loss to Becky Lynch at WrestleMania?
Yeah, I'm still thinking that Becky's going over in that match. But for real, tonight, Ronda Rousey absolutely incredible. I mean, even I think that what she's doing right now, a lot of people are actually gravitating towards her. I mean, during the entrance, I actually still heard a lot of people cheering for her. You know, even though she's supposed to be the the quote unquote heel in this. I mean, bro, actually showed people clapping. I saw a bunch of people with Ronda Rousey shirts. She's friggin' over, bro. And that promo she did, absolutely incredible. I absolutely loved a lot of the lines that she had. I honestly, to me, it kind of sounded like she actually that was her, that she actually basically did that as she went along and just wasn't really scripted. I mean, she has a lot of great lines. She was like telling the fans to take their applause and shove it. She's referring to them as bandwagon bitches. I mean, even this too. She mentions that Becky is kind of a coward, just like all of them, and if they didn't have that barrier protecting them from the ring, that they'd absolutely get destroyed by her. And even right then and there, she goes that there's not going to be a barrier to save Becky or Charlotte. And I think that was it's very smart the way that came off. It was very witty. I thought it sounded badass. I mean, it was really good. I mean, even she goes that. She's this part here I really thought was really cool, that she mentions that WWE is essentially their church, but she's going to desecrate their sanctuary.
Yes,
I mean,
that was good.
Yeah, that line was incredible. Absolutely amazing. I mean, this was the most confident she's been on the mic since she arrived, and I think it definitely shows. And like Edward said, I think she's on the cusp of being something truly great for the WWE. I mean, we already know she could go in the ring. She's bringing this ultimate fighting championship style that it's very real, and it definitely is something different. But the way that she is in the ring, that she could tell that story by doing that stuff, it's just truly remarkable. I mean, the reality of it is she's only been there for these couple months, and the evolution of Ronda the last few months has just been truly amazing. She's totally skyrocketed.
Absolutely.
I wanted to bring this up because we kind of blew through Heyman and Seth, but it ties into Ronda. Did you guys notice that Seth mentioned him being in the main event, and then Heyman reiterated the main event at WrestleMania, Brock Lesnar?
Mm-hmm.
Have they backed off it? Because I didn't hear them saying anything about the women's main event. Like, are they branding this a co-main event show with 3 main events, or did they drop it now? Did he decide Seth and Brock's the main event? That's it.
Well, I guess we'll see that over the next 3 weeks, see where they go with that. But I think Heyman's been calling that the main event right from the start, and I don't think he's going to let go of that.
Well, he might not, because it's the main title. It should be the main event.
Right.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything there.
I wanted to say, too, about Rousey. She made a great comment where she said that she will embarrass the both of them, Becky and Charlotte, and the WWE as the Carney sideshow.
Ooh, yes.
It's always been. So, dude, that's another part of that shoot thing that she's doing. And then she gives the WWE permission to make it a handicap match. And she'll be embarrassed if she even breaks a sweat, she says. So,
let me ask you guys, if they're doing this, the story that they're doing, what she just said there, could we be surprised that this might go next to last on the card? And can she just put one of them in a submission move and be done? Are we going to see a 10-second squash?
Oh, I would love that.
Because she might, like, if she's playing the quote-unquote, I'm going off script, she said it again tonight, is that what we're going to see?
Wouldn't it be great? How great of a feel would it be if, she would come out there and win the match and whatever, even if it was a minute, kind of like a la Mike Tyson back in the day when he dominated the heavyweight boxing program.
Right.
I mean, that would be fantastic because you really don't get a chance to see that in main events in professional wrestling. But if you want to become more reality based, from time to time that actually happens.
Mm-hmm, sure.
Somebody has somebody's number, or somebody comes out slow, and boom, before you know it, the match is over. I think it would be a great way to book that match. I would love it. Of course, the fans would cry that they didn't get their Becky championship, but she's got plenty of time for that.
Sure.
Now Dana Brooke comes down and she cuts a promo of her own, which, by the way, I don't think is too bad. And she hasn't been used very well. She crawls in the ring, and that just doesn't go well for her. I love that Rousey teased the armbar, but didn't do it, and actually said, "You have to pay me $60."
Yep.
You pay $60, and then I'll show you an armbar. That was just fantastic.
That was cool.
Any comments from either of you guys with the Dana Brooke thing?
I will say I didn't even know she was still with the company. I mean, for real though, I really did not even know she was still there. But to her credit, that was the best promo of her career. But you could clearly tell that she was very, very nervous. Her hands were like shaking, and her voice was cracking here and there. But it was, for real, I think it was a very passionate promo, and she did very well at it. And of course, though, obviously it was all for naught, though, because Ronda absolutely friggin' steamrolled her. I mean, she tossed her around like a rag doll, like effortlessly. And you could tell, too, like all of that was very real. Her judo tosses that she was doing to Dana Brooke, they were legit. They were very aggressive and hard. And I think, the commentators actually did a very good job selling this too. Like Michael Cole was screaming that Rousey's gone rogue and all kind of stuff like that. They did for what it was worth, that was a very good segment, of course. And that shows that, Ronda can carry big moments like this, as far as either having segments like that or, doing a match. She's really coming into her own the last several months. And I feel like she could potentially be the total package within the next year or so.
Yeah, I just love the fact that she kind of stood there. She didn't do anything, just, blank expression, just waiting. And then as soon as Dana was done, she just whooped her. Dude, Ronda can do no wrong in my eyes right now. Seriously. Performance-wise.
Bro, I'm telling you, if she walks away right now, it's going to break my heart.
I know.
Because that woman's division is going to be a mess when she leaves. It's going to be a mess.
No, it won't. No,
Yeah,
it won't. She sucks. She doesn't even belong there. She never paid her dues, and she's not a wrestler.
Whatever.
Right, Sam?
Dude, all I'm saying is... we've seen it. We said it last night too, and I think that it's accurate. There's a huge drop off from those three, and let's say Asuka, to the rest of that roster. And if she leaves, they're gonna have to, fill those two women's titles, and then have people chasing, and have tag team champions and a team chasing there too. I don't think they have that many good people.
No, they don't. I agree.
No, it doesn't seem that way. But I think, in a way, though, I kind of feel like maybe that would force them to, step up to the plate and try to establish new people. Like, because I feel like, Ruby Riott, she is kind of, if she could get more over with the fans, I think she could be right there. Granted, if they push her correctly and kind of move her in the right direction as if she's going to be a face or a heel. And it was funny, she was actually her and the Riot Squad were not seen at all tonight, which maybe in a way it's kind of good that they didn't fool around with a lot of the people that the fans don't really give a shit about tonight.
Well, we go back to the ring, and we got the entrance of Aleister Black. He's popping up on the board or whatever. Then Ricochet comes out to a totally different song. And I text you, Hollywood, and Young Q, that a tag team ought to come out to one song, and it ought to be one entrance. Am I wrong about that?
No.
I mean, they're pushing these guys to the moon, and I I don't get it. You know what's funny is today I told you earlier, Hollywood. I actually listened a little bit to the Wrestling Inc. Podcast with Matt Morgan, and those guys and Matt Morgan all said the same thing that we're saying, that they're just not a team, and it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't feel right, and it's forced, and all of it, that they couldn't be more different, and there's nothing about them that says tag team. If all of us can see that, why is nobody in WWE seeing this?
Yeah, I wonder about that too.
I don't know.
Because seriously, they just don't even come across as a tag team. And I totally agree that as a tag team, you're supposed to come out together. Unless if you're like that, like kind of like odd couple, like the Miz and the Big Show or something like that. I mean, to their credit though, like with them doing the separate entrances, I did seem like. I know not every single week, but I know, and I realized too they were in Pittsburgh, but it did seem like I was listening to the show with headphones on and really trying to focus on the crowd reactions, and it did seem like Black, he did get a good pop there, but I still think the average person doesn't know what to think of him. But as far as Ricochet goes, he did get a pretty good pop as well. I mean, I think the entrance he does have with the laser beams like converging on him in his logo, and then he does like that superhero pose. That's very cool. It's very, I think like younger fans would think, like, look at that and think that's really awesome too. But besides that, there isn't too much there besides that. I mean, right now, like, I hate to say it, but both of them, as far as the WWE run currently goes on the main roster, they're just a flashy entrance, and that's kind of about it.
Yeah, Ricochet at one point in the match was there, and he got the quote unquote hot tag. I mean, dude, it was nothing. It was not a hot tag. They don't really do. It's two individual guys in a match tagging each other. There's no tag team wrestling from them. We did see that from Bobby Roode and Chad Gable in the beginning of the match when they had control. They were doing double team moves. They were cutting off the ring there where they had them in their corner. And then Bobby Roode takes the pin. I mean, I don't know where to go with this. I really don't know where to go with this anymore. I know we sound, again, like a broken record on this, but I just don't get this whole thing. Help me, Hollywood. Help me understand.
I'll try. What I saw tonight from Ricochet especially, I think I almost want to say he's doing too much. I don't think the people that are going to see Raw, I don't think they get it. And this is going to be something that they're going to have to look at moving forward, because that I don't want to call it indie style, but it kind of goes against everything WWE has always been. And if you watch the stuff that he does in a short amount of time, it's overload. Mm-hmm. And I don't think your average guy that's taking the three girls to the show really gets it. Like, I don't think he even cares to get it. You know what I mean? It's just he's doing too much in too short a time.
It seems very scripted, very synchronized, and something that, like you said, you're not usually used to seeing there at the WWE. They've kind of pushed back on that a little bit through time. I guess now they're okay with it.
Saint, what's your take on that? Because, like, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but there was a spot where he took out Rude, and Rude was on the apron. Then he ran over to the other side, did a move. Then he ran back to Rude, did a move. And it was just like 1, 2, 3, boom, 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 and it happened in 30 seconds. And he looks so smooth when he's doing all that stuff. I don't think people are wowed by him. I think they're just getting overloaded, and they're going, "What the hell is this?"
Well, listen, I mean, first things first, the business, of course, it's getting smaller and getting more athletic. So from one perspective, I can see that. I could understand why he's doing that, but at the same time, I totally agree that what he is currently doing in a lot of these matches, it's total overkill. I think it's too much, and it's I seriously think that he would benefit from slowing it down, especially for, the tag team. Tag team wrestling is, built on, working holds and cutting off the ring and everything like that, and then building anticipation towards getting a hot tag.
Right.
Like when they did that tonight, like you said, it wasn't even really hot or anything. And what I really think is sad about this match, before we move on, of course, they, for Root and Gable, they're the actual tag team. They have 3 hours, and they can't even give them a full entrance. They got hit with the jobber entrance, bro, and it's really sad. And they actually come off they're slowly coming off as a tag team. I know they were kind of a makeshift put together team as well, but in the last several months, they've kind of come together as their own. And they, unlike Black and Ricochet, they actually have a tag team move that they do tonight that I thought was very cool. They got Ricochet over into the corner, and what they did was they had Gable and Rude hit this combination blockbuster German suplex double team move, and bro, that looked really cool. It had this very old school tag team wrestling vibe to it, and I really enjoyed that. I think I'd like to see more of their tag teams having like little nuances and like little gimmicks that they do like that, where they have their own like signature tag team maneuvers. Because like lately you don't see it a whole lot, and it's very sad. And also say, as far as this match goes, they purposely reiterated that the automatic rematch clause has been done away with. But despite all that, all these guys are still getting rematches anyway. So like, what the hell's the point?
Yes, that's a very good point. Of course, they get attacked by the Revivals. They go up the ramp. Root and Gable just kind of look at them while they're doing it. And I don't know, is this going to be another triple threat match at WrestleMania? Who cares? Next segment, Alexa Bliss announces herself as the host for WrestleMania. I think she's overrated. I don't care if she's in your top 3 or your top 5. I think she sucks. I think she sucks on the mic. I think she sucks in the ring. I think she just sucks. So that's just me. You guys have anything to say about this thing?
I don't think you've seen enough of her, but I would disagree with that. However, the spot I thought sucked. I thought it was
suck.
It was filler. It was filler. They could have just said, Cole could have done it. It was just filler.
Well, you're right. I haven't seen her in a ring in a long time. But I don't know. Is she injured? What's the deal there?
She was. Saint, maybe you can clear that up, because she was, but I don't know if she still is. Now, I think there was a boob job, too, possibly, somewhere in there. No, I'm serious.
Yeah, I don't exactly remember, but I believe she was under the concussion protocol, and that's why they had her out for a little bit there.
Okay.
But I'm not 100% sure about that. But as far as this segment goes, I honestly, me personally, I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, I know you guys might have not really cared for it that much, and I'll flat out admit it was indeed filler, but I kind of like the way that they did it. She basically, like, mentioned all the past hosts and got some reactions out of all of them, and then they have she like motions toward the Tron, and then they have like the Hollywood sign, the red carpet, the limo opens up, and then Hollywood. Of course it's her, and and they had like the drum roll and everything. Like, honestly, I thought it was funny, like the way that they did it. Yes, it was a little goofy, but like it kind of got her over as this like cocky like bitch that thinks she's better than everybody. And it was the funniest thing about it was it was the first time this Moment of Bliss segment hasn't been interrupted since the segment debuted. And it's been going for like maybe 4 or 5 months. Every single time, like that was like the shtick. Like they would have somebody come out and interfere. Yeah,
they gave Elias her shtick.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Next segment, SNL sends a car to Braun Strowman. I mean, this is a great segment. He rips the car apart. He wanted to see what the car was made of, I guess. I don't know. He made a statement about the next time he sees him, it'll be live from New York, and they will get these hands. Now, I don't know. Does that mean live from New York with the pay-per-view that's in New Jersey, or is he going to go on SNL? I'm not sure what he was getting at there. Anybody have anything they want to say about this segment?
All I'm going to say about this is I popped for the line when he said, "I can't even fit in this." but I don't get him. I just don't get him. If he's a funny guy, then let him be funny, because it seems like I've never seen a guy that's like, the size of him be so uncomfortable being the size of him. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's so uncomfortable in everything he does, and I don't understand it. So obviously they're making him do something that he is disconnected from. Like, if he's really like a really good guy, or if he's like a really quiet guy or whatever, they need to make him like that, because whatever they're trying to do, like, he's a giant and he can't play a giant. It's amazing.
Yeah, I would say I kind of agree with that. In a way, he almost reminds me of Hillbilly Jim, the way that he is like that. Because I think, like you said, I think in real life maybe he is like a quiet guy like that, and like it's weird that they're trying to have him do like this comedy bit routine stuff all the time, because several years they were building him as this big monster, and that all went to shit basically. I mean, and it's sad too. They potentially could have a big star on their hands with Strowman. He's been one of their most consistent guys lately, and it just seems like they didn't pull the trigger soon enough on him, and the fans slowly started to not give a shit, and it seemed like WWE started to not give a shit, and now he's doing this stuff. I mean, the segment though itself, I don't think was all that bad. I thought, like Edward said, there were some funny lines. The line I popped the most for was he goes, "I don't care if I have the right to do that to him." I liked it. I thought that was really funny.
That was good.
And then I like that. And then he had like that nerd come up and from behind him and like tell him that he has his car, and he's like, "What car?" I mean, parts of it was okay, and it does still kind of seem like it's very, I would say, like very like acted. Like you could tell he's totally doesn't believe it that much quite yet. And I think it's because like he's being forced to do something that's not him. And anytime we see this in the business where a lot of people are forced to do stuff that doesn't resonate with who they really are, some of them struggle with it, and some of them make it their own and knock it out of the park. And with this type of stuff like this, I kind of think he should get away from it.
Yeah, he struggled with it mightily. We got Elias. He's in his hometown. He gets a little bit of a pop. Then he, of course, puts the Pittsburghers down. Does a little attack thing with No Way Jose. I don't know where any of this is going. I'm not really sure that we care where this is going. We see that Harlem Heat will be going to the Hall of Fame, which I think is a good thing. Oh, and then we get to see Lacey Evans make her way to the announce table. And at the same time, Tamina Snuka and Nia Jax are coming out for a match. Nia Jax will be taking on Natalya. Again, they're just setting up this thing between Nia and Tamina and Natalya and Beth Phoenix, and I don't know if this is just going to be the four of them, or if Sasha and Bayley are going to be involved, because they were out there then in the gorilla position, did a little attack job there. Hollywood, where do you see this whole mess going for WrestleMania?
Dude, I totally blanked out. I'm sorry. I didn't pay attention to a single word you said. When you blew through, Lacey Evans was the last thing I heard. I'm sorry.
Was there something there you wanted to stop and talk about?
Where did you go after Lacey Evans?
I went to the Nia Jax match.
Oh, Nia.
Yeah, so I just said that it was just a setup for the Nia and Tamina against Natalya and Beth Phoenix, but then again, Sasha and Bayley jumped in afterwards, and I asked you, where do you think this whole mess is going as far as WrestleMania? Is it going to be a two on two? Is it going to be the three teams? What are you looking for?
I'm looking for a triple threat tag match that's going to be awful. That's what I'm looking for. It's going to be just like what they're doing with the guys on Raw. And, dude, I mean, on one hand, I kind of like the fact that they had a little backstage segment. You know, Finley made the appearance, holding back Sasha. Looking like maybe there was something nefarious going on there with Finn holding her like he was. But at the same time, at least they did something. But, dude, you know, we talked about this last night on the Fastlane show. I'm not invested in this whatsoever. I don't care. I don't know who cares. It's women's tag. It's just another excuse to get more women on the show. I mean, I'm really getting over it. Seriously.
Wow. So is it to the point where you're saying to yourself, I wish they would have never done this women's tag team championship thing?
Yes. I don't think they really wanted to do it. I think it was just an excuse to push more women. I'm just going to be real.
I think I'm with you on it, and I don't see it working. I think it's going to be a mess. I think it's going to be kind of like AC described last night with the never six-man tag titles. I think that's what we're going to get from this forever.
Well, let me ask you this, and I don't know the answer to it, but they said it was the first WWE Women's Tag Team Championship.
Yeah, well,
which it was. It was under the WWE name, but there used to be a WWF Women's Tag Team Titles Championship.
Right.
Why did it go away?
Well, because nobody gave a shit.
Why? Say it.
Women's wrestling doesn't sell.
Yes, thank you. My prediction for these belts, they go away by the year 2020. The end of next year, you're not going to see it anymore.
It's the same thing if you remember the fabulous Moolah back in the day. She was the women's champion for what? 100 years. I mean, it was incredible. She was the champion
she seriously
forever.
Was. Yep.
But the thing is, it was easy to be the champion for that long because she hardly ever wrestled. And when I say hardly ever, it was maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
And that was it. They'd bring her out to wrestle Alani Kai or, whoever it was.
Velvet McIntyre. They pull somebody out.
And she'd pull the heel move and she'd retain the belt and she'd go away for another 6 months.
At this point, you know what I want Vince to do? He has his own network, right? Just make a women's show. If you want to keep if you want to keep the top tier that we always talk about, Ronda, Sasha, Charlotte, Becky, whatever. Pick 6 girls, keep them on Raw and SmackDown. The rest, go make it women's everything. Have Renee be the lead announcer. Do it all. Thursday night at 8, from 8 to 10, go women crazy. Because this is like, it's bringing the show down, man. It's bringing the 3-hour Raw show down, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is the first time that I actually snoozed off. During this.
You literally snoozed off.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Not good.
Saint, you kind of came last night. You came to the defense of the women's division. If they did what Hollywood is suggesting, they put a show on the network. It was whatever it is, an hour long or 2 hours long of all women's wrestling. Would you watch that every week?
I think I would give it a chance. I think in a way, I kind of agree with Edwards. I think, what they could do is still have the top, maybe 10 women for Raw and SmackDown that are going to be your main roster people, and then actually have, the women's show be, maybe its own sort of brand, where you're going to have, an all-women's show. I mean, there's a lot of talent in NXT and NXT UK that they could utilize on a show like that. I mean, I think in a way, maybe that would be the best thing to do because, with having so much women's segments now on Raw and SmackDown, I do kind of agree it is bringing the show down a little bit. But then, of course, there's, high points when we have this Ronda promo. You don't want to hinder the potential for something big like that. Now, I'll admit there probably aren't a lot of people that they have as far as their women go that could do big moments like that are meaningful and very exciting. But, of course, if they're not not given the opportunity, then of course you never know if they can or not. So I guess there's a sort of a fine line with that, whether, what you want to do with that. I mean, but I will flat out admit, and me and Edwards have agreed with this in the past, that right now, as much as I kind of like them kind of giving women more of a platform, I do think that it is totally excessive and going overboard now.
Yeah, I'll say at least that. At least that. All right, guys, we see the SUV coming, bringing in Dave Batista, and then we get that whole thing. Bro, I thought it was a great line by Triple H, asking him if he's just going to stand up there and be a nose ring model. Past that, I didn't really see anything in this, and I will challenge each of you to tell me where I'm wrong. What about this was any good? Does anybody have anything? This to me is your typical Triple H boring segment with whoever it is that he's in with. It was a mess. Go ahead, help me see why it was good.
No, this was completely disappointing, in my opinion. I don't need to see Triple H come out in the leather and the jeans and then have Michael Cole say, "Oh, there's no suit on tonight." They do that every single year. Yep. Oh, this isn't Triple H, the owner. This is Triple H, the whatever, man. And dude,
this is the game.
I gotta tell you, for Dave Batista to actually have Hollywood acting experience now, I guess I could say thank God there's editing in Hollywood movies, because he totally disappointed me tonight, and so did Triple H. How can you stand there and say, "Give me what I want. Give me what I want. You're not in control. I'm in control. Give me what I want"? Does that make any logical sense?
No, it's stupid.
Okay, let's do this. General Stames, you're leading this show tonight, right?
I'm trying.
Okay, well, that's all you can do with us guys. I want to lead the show. Give me what I want. Give me what I want. You're in control of that decision. You're not in control of that decision. I'm in control of that decision. So I'm telling you to give me what I want. How does that make sense?
In control.
How?
It doesn't make any sense. If you're in control, you can
why would I be asking?
What you want.
Right. And he said it over and over and over, and all
well,
Triple
that's what
H.
The whole segment was.
Yeah, and all Triple H could do is go, "You want what you want? Yeah, give me what I want. Oh, you want it?
How many times you gonna quit, Dave? How
Dude,
many times you gonna quit?"
Total train wreck. And I'm disappointed in these two guys. After what Triple H did last week, this was like a bomb just went off in that storyline too. And they didn't need that happening. Whew. Talk about total disappointment. If anybody listening agrees, put it down in the comments and get my back on this, because that was one of the most disappointing things, man. I think everybody was fired up to see Batista again. He came out, no reaction from the crowd. I don't even know if they knew who he was. I don't know what. Maybe Saint, you can answer that because you had headphones on, but to me it sounded like there was no reaction. It was terrible.
Well, to me, actually, it was a little bit of the opposite. I did think he actually got a pop, but of course, the fans quickly turned on him and started booing him due to him stalling and everything. And I don't know. I was a little disappointed with the whole segment as well, because I didn't like Batista's supposed to be this badass everything, but the way, as you guys have said, with the way he was demanding all this stuff, he just basically came off as this whiny, entitled millennial, and it don't make sense for somebody that's supposed to be a badass like that. I mean, I realize he's the big movie star, and I guess they're kind of playing off of that. I mean, they even had the big motorcade and the personal bodyguard brigade for him, and I don't know. It's too much sometimes. They could have did that whole entire segment with a lot less, and maybe made it a lot less scripted, because like you said, it almost just seemed like the acting was very poor. And I mean, this is a guy that's supposed to be a major professional actor who's been in multi-million dollar movies the past several years. And, it's just very bad. And well, I will say this one thing though is I think they did a good job, and I think it was a smart move saving Batista for the third hour because surprisingly, I don't think it's going to be the same for you guys, but for me, I actually, especially compared to last few weeks, they did a very better job of keeping me interested and invested enough to stick around for all 3 hours. Because the last few weeks, like it's a big struggle to get through the whole entire show. It really is.
Yeah, I'm yet to do it. Kurt Angle comes out. Looks like he's going to retire. He's in his hometown, too, of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He left there more than 20 years ago to start his career, beat everybody, and now he's going to have his last match at WrestleMania. And I guess they're listening to our show because we said this over a month ago. I think that Kurt Angle needs to retire. Enough is enough. He's going to get hurt. So he had a little match with Apollo Crews and got the win. Good for you, Kurt Angle, that you're getting out of the game. I hope they can find something for him to do, that he has a job somewhere, whether it be in the WWE or somewhere else. But I think it's the best thing, Hollywood, that he get out of the ring.
Yeah, and I think he's getting out at a good time. Like, he's not totally embarrassing himself, you know what I mean? But you can see that in the near future, and I think he knows it. So, good on him. Great career. Great TNA career, too.
Yep.
I mean, I actually think he was in TNA longer than he was in WWE, like his first run. But, yeah, I mean, nothing else to prove. I know the guy loves it, but he can still be, I'm sure Vince would hire him in a heartbeat to be an agent or something, you know, so.
Yeah.
If he doesn't want to leave the business altogether, I'm sure he'll be okay.
Next segment, Roman Reigns, Baron Corbin match. We never get that. Drew McIntyre comes out and unloads on Roman Reigns. And, I mean, he pretty much leaves him for dead. Nice little acting job there between him and Seth, going back, and Dino is in the back, too, and they get him into the trainer. I thought that went off pretty well, and then we had the challenge. Dude, there it is again. Triple H just happens to be walking through the hallway, and Dean has to go up to him and ask him for the match, and Triple H books it, and I'll go let McIntyre know, and you see him walking with his arms out, his big muscly arms in the leather jacket as he's walking away, you know. And we get that match. Now, you know I am not a fan of Falls Count Anywhere matches. I never have been. They're just not my thing. But I'll say this, and then I'll let you guys say your part on these segments here, going through to the end of the show. The one thing that I liked about all of this is how McIntyre looked great. I mean, he looked invincible. He looked solid. He looked strong. My fear is that because of what happened earlier, he's going to meet Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, and it's all going to go down the drain at WrestleMania. What do you guys think?
You know, even though Stames, I know you don't really care for that style of match, but the match itself, I really like the whole Attitude Era Hardcore Championship vibe that this match had. You know, there was even this really cool spot where McIntyre totally like ragdolls Ambrose, and he slams him right into the barricades, and the fans were really eating that up because they were right brawling out right in the crowd there, right in the stands. And you know, even during the commercial, I wish they showed this on air. They ended up recapping it like in the picture in frame thing, like at the bottom of the screen, like when they did come back to a commercial. But they actually were, you know, brawling at the concession stand in the merchandise area, and I thought that was very cool. That definitely had like that '90s, like gritty, edgy, hardcore, like I said, hardcore championship vibe to it. And you know, I really enjoyed this whole entire match in the segment. There were some really brutal spots. I mean, McIntyre, he actually jammed a pencil into Ambrose's head. And like, I saw that and I was like, holy shit, like that part actually that I definitely will flat out admit I marked out for that. I mean, I know he probably definitely didn't really hit him, but the way that the camera angles and everything made it really look legit, and the
Renee
commentators
sold that
definitely,
awesome too.
yeah, they sold that excellent, and he even long darted him into the LED board. That looked brutal, and the finish of the match, I think, was absolutely amazing, and it made McIntyre look like a total beast. I mean, he Claymore kicked Ambrose right in the head when he was like trapped on that handrail, like by the ramp. I mean, absolutely amazing. Absolutely loved it. I mean, this match did an excellent job putting McIntyre over as the new savage psychopath of the WWE. I mean, it just totally established him tonight, I think, as the most violent and dangerous individual on the roster. You know, I guess second only to Lesnar or Ronda, if you think about it. I mean, this guy right here, he could be and should be a total megastar for their company, you know, within the next year or so if they book him well and they have some character protection for the guy. But I'm kind of worried, like you said, if the plan is, of course, him versus Reigns, which is, you know, the way it's looking for Mania, obviously Reigns is going over there, you would think, right? So that might be a short-term thing as far as him getting the big push. But I mean, tonight he, like Edwards said, he looked like $1 million. I mean, the commentators did a good job here as well. But you know, a lot of credit goes to Ambrose. He's doing what you're supposed to in the business on his way out and making, you know, putting on really good matches on his way out and making you know, guys really look good. He did an excellent job tonight with McIntyre.
Yeah, I expect that he's done. Now, one thing I will take exception that you said is that he was lawn darted into the board. I think you have to have a little trajectory on a lawn dart, so I'm not so sure that that was a lawn dart move. So I can disagree with you on that. Okay, Hollywood, what are you saying about this? I mean, obviously, Drew looked like a badass, beating down Roman and beating down Dean, but is it going to last? Or, I mean, can we expect this thing to last?
Well, let me go back to Roman. I agree. I think they probably just written Dean off the show tonight. I think that's probably what we saw. But that's the proper usage for him leaving. But Roman obviously was getting checked for a concussion. If you can hear the audio, he was saying he didn't say I got my bell rung, but he said something similar, like I just feel like I have a headache or something. I'm good. Don't worry about it. Like when he's walking.
That's what he said. I got a headache. Yep.
And the doctor was out there with the light in his eyes, and he couldn't even look at it. I thought he did a phenomenal job. If he goes into the concussion protocol, what do we do? We have 3 weeks here. So are we going to do another? What are we doing here? What's going on? Is it going to be Dean steps in for him for the last match, or am I looking too much into the concussion thing, or what? I don't know where they're going.
So do you think are you saying that you think there's a chance that they're going to hold Roman Reigns out for Mania?
Would they? He couldn't look into the light.
Well, and here's the thing is they kind of brought him back in a hurry. And the reality is, if you think about the match last night, it was a 3-way match. Now, he did spend a lot of time doing some things with Baron Corbin in the ring, but he also was sheltered by those other guys. Where at Mania, he'd be on his own. Maybe he's not ready, and maybe this is just their way to get him out of having to wrestle a match at WrestleMania. That would be very interesting if they did that. Mm-hmm. Very interesting.
It would be. You know, we're assuming that he's back and he's 100% and all that, but I remember we were talking about when he made his big announcement that he was really nervous. He was looking inside he was breathing deeply. You could see it all written all over his face. The next day on Good Morning America, he said that was nerves. Mm-hmm. He was doing that tonight. When he came out on the ramp, he was breathing like that. And then went right before Drew hit him from behind and he went down, he took that deep breath. And I'm just wondering if he doesn't have his sea legs back yet. If he's not used to, I don't want to call it ring rust, because he looked awesome last night at Fastlane. He looked awesome in this segment. But maybe he just said, no, let me take it slow. Give me help with the Shield on the pay-per-view. I could do that. Set me up with a spot. I want to see how I can do with the physicality of just, one-on-one. Can I do it? Maybe that's going to be enough for him. Maybe he's going to say, all right, you know what? Maybe he said it.
Well, and we've seen this before. Like, I can still remember Shawn Michaels. He was out for a while or gone for a while, like when he retired, and they brought him back to Raw one night. And this is his final retirement. And, they're playing his song and he's doing his thing up at the ramp and he's, skipping down and going into the ring and running around the ring and waving to the fans or whatever. And he gets the microphone and he's legitimately out of breath.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
And he actually says, "Oh my God, I'm too old for this
Yep.
anymore." I mean, not a match, just getting to the ring.
Yeah.
He was absolutely blown up.
Yeah.
So, when the crowd's cheering like that and that adrenaline is rushing, I can see where
all of it.
Yeah, that could take its toll on you. Now, it's not going to take its toll on the Electric City Saint. He gets that every night. He gets up, leaves his apartment, and the Electric City puts those rays down on him just like Ricochet, and then he's like a superhero over there fighting crime, all over the Electric City. So he's used to that. He's not going to have a problem with that. But maybe Roman doesn't have the sea legs back. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where they go. But my God, does Drew look like a beast now? That last Claymore kick, oh, it looked beautiful. And I think Dean didn't even move. He didn't throw his hand up. He took whatever Drew was going to give him, if he was going to hit him or not, so...
Dean did a great job. Dean, let's give Dean, some credit here.
Yeah.
He's been nothing but a professional through this whole thing, and maybe has done his best work since coming into the WWE in this last, 2 months. Mm-hmm. So I take my hat off to Dean Ambrose. I think he's done a great job. I think he's been a great professional. And I do think he's leaving, though. I still think he's leaving. I might be wrong, but I do think he's leaving. And I think tonight was, as you said, their way to just write him off and that be it. Yep. But we'll see. We'll see. Yep. All right, another Raw in the books, fellas. And I don't know. What did you guys think of it overall? I actually don't think it was a real good showing for them. Even withstanding all the stuff in the end there with Drew that I did like and thought that it came off very good. And even the beginning with the Shield, I that was exactly what I wanted to see from them as well. But pretty much from... the Intercontinental match until it got to the Drew McIntyre stuff, there's a lot of weakness in there from that point to the other point.
Go ahead, Bob.
Well, me personally, I guess we're going to differ a little bit on our opinion on this. I actually thought, for the most part, it was a decent Raw, despite the fact, no McMahon, no Cena, no Undertaker, no Lesnar, no Stephanie McMahon. I was very surprised to not see Stephanie McMahon at all for this. But, of course, we're getting Vince tomorrow, as they've announced, as they announced throughout the show. They actually hyped SmackDown. There's about 3 video packages for that. So I thought it was good that they're at least acknowledging that stuff and recapping the Cole Kofi thing, and that it will be addressed, of course, on SmackDown. But other than that, like you said, there was a lot of good, a lot of bad. But I thought, me personally, I thought they made the most of their time tonight and didn't waste a whole lot of it with any kind of goofy shit or stupid matches that nobody cares about, or having wrestlers that nobody cares about, like Heavy Machinery or, guys like that. But I will say this too, if we get this Drew McIntyre going up against Reigns at WrestleMania, I think that's definitely a match I want to see, because he was incredible tonight. And a lot of that, of course, is thanks to Ambrose. Of course, he did a very good job selling for him and making him look like $1 million. And I also kind of feel like, if this really was Ambrose's final match in WWE, I think he went out with a swan song, because I think that was easily a incredible match for him, one of his best. And I realized that wasn't like a normal match, it was a false count anywhere, but everything about the way that match was written and performed was incredible.
Well, Hollywood, I guess you're going to have to break the tie here. I see it as this. After the Intercontinental Championship match, between the end of that match and the beginning of the Drew McIntyre rage, the only thing that I think was worth anything in between those two spots was Ronda Rousey, and the rest of it, you could take it and throw it in the garbage as far as I'm concerned.
I tend to agree, but I think what they did was they got some of the mid card, undercard stuff out of the way. Like the women's tag,
Right.
whatever's going on with that, like they took a couple of those slivers and concentrated on that now to get it over with. Because like the Saints said, we didn't see Vince, we didn't see Steph, we didn't see the Becky or Charlotte. They were held off. So I think now we're going to have 3 weeks next week. Now it's going to be time to start heating up the main programs. But I want to say this too. Because they were flirting with, well, advertising the flirtation of Vince with Kofi, he's going to address Kofi. I just want to say this. I want to ask you guys something before we end this. Last night on the Fastlane show, our good buddy AC is saying things like, can they just give us a story already? I think he and a lot of fans are missing the fact that we're in the middle of a story with Kofi. And I don't understand it. You know, I put that show out earlier today, and I was listening to it before I put it up, you know, just to make sure everything was, you know, kosher on the show. And I heard that part, and I'm like, how are people missing this? And the proof right there, we got tonight. They're advertising it. Tomorrow, Vince is going to address Kofi Kingston. How are people missing the fact that they're telling a story with Kofi? Can someone please explain to me how AC is missing it? He's a wrestling fan. How is it possible? What is wrong with him?
It's not just him though either. I told you I listened to that Wrestling Inc. podcast today
Yes.
with Matt Morgan, and all of those guys are in the same boat, dude. Like, Matt Morgan actually said, I can't believe the shit that's going on. This isn't Triple H booking this stuff. This isn't, you know, and he went through Bruce Pritchard, and it's not, you know, Road Dogg, and it's not Vince McMahon. And he said, something just doesn't feel right. Well, what he's missing is the story.
Right. Dude, it's March 12th. The Elimination Chamber was February 17th, which means Kofi got in that match February 10th. It's been 30 days since we first heard the name Kofi and 11 years. We're in the middle of a story and everybody's missing it. They can't deal with a slow burn of 4 weeks? My God, no wonder Vince books week to week, because people will kill themselves if they have to wait 2 months for a story to play out. They're not even seeing that there's a story going on. It's unbelievable. Saint, address that, because I feel like I'm out of my mind here.
Yeah, I mean that's the big difference between these fans today that are, you know, and compared to fans of maybe 10, 20 years ago. It seems like, you know, back then a lot of the stuff, it was a slow burn. We would get 6, 12-month storylines, and now, like you said, people can't even handle a 4-week storyline, and they're not even seeing like what's right in front of them. I mean, it's very weird to me. And you know, I partially blame this too, maybe on the fact that maybe people aren't seeing every single little thing that's going on. And, you know, I attribute that to the fact that, of course, we're seeing the rise of YouTube. I mean, tonight they even went out of their way of plugging the fact that their social media, they have 1 billion social media followers. They made a big emphasis on that, but yet they can't even pull in 3 million viewers for Raw. But you know, like that's very much because of YouTube and because of social media, because it almost seems like most people are just getting their Raw fix or their SmackDown fix by watching the important clips on YouTube, like after it airs. You know, and even their YouTube channel has 50 million subscribers. So I think that's a big reason why their rating has dropped. And, you know, I think that's also a reason why a lot of these people, maybe they don't realize that there's a storyline going on because they're not seeing everything, you know. And in this day and age, also, when you think about it, you know, with that being an option, with being able to watch it on YouTube, it's going to be hard for WWE, I think, to gain back those them people, because they figure, okay, I don't have to be obligated to watch 3 hours of Raw. I could just watch it on YouTube, and they could do it on their own time. But now, maybe that's the big draw anymore is YouTube, as far as instead of TV. But obviously, of course, if they bomb on TV and lose their TV deal, that's not good. They definitely can't afford that now. So they got to change something around, or give a reason for people to want to get back into watching their TV program instead of watching it clipped online.
1 billion followers around the world. Woo!
1 billion, yeah.
And they have in here Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Foursquare, Periscope, Pinterest, Qzone, Tateo. I don't know.
That's not what they had on the screen, though.
Tumblr, V+, WeChat, Weibo,
bullshit.
and Youku.
That's not what they had on the screen.
Well, they're not going to put all that other stuff on
Well,
the
they
screen
should.
Because you don't know what that is.
Well,
So
actually, I don't. I don't know what you just said. Tatuku. I don't know what the hell.
Well, because it's around the world. It's not just the United States. So.
Well, I think they have Twitter around the world too, but.
Well, Youku is probably YouTube in Nakamura land.
What was the thing they used to have? Remember they used to put, it was like the first thing.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
With the short videos, you like take a video.
Yeah, they were really, I think they might have been like invested in that.
Yes.
Tout. Was it Tout?
Tout.
Yeah.
Tout it out.
I wonder if that's what this Tauteo is. Maybe that's a part of that. Maybe it changed into something else. I don't know.
Bro, we got to look into that for Soldiers of Shoot. Tout. We'll hype it. We'll really hype the Tout. Hit us up on Tout.
Yeah. And MySpace.
And MySpace too, yes.
Yeah, we'll bring MySpace back. All right, troops, there you got it. Another fun and great Monday Night Raw at the WrestleMania season. Tomorrow night we'll see what happens with VKM over there at the SmackDown Live, and tune in here to get your recap on that show as well. For Hollywood Edwards, for the Electric City State, I am General Stames saying so long, and we'll see you next time here on the Soldiers of Shoot.